Welcome back. Mozambique needs financial support from the International Monetary Fund and is open to another investigation into $2 billion of undisclosed debt to hasten the restoration of aid. The IMF cancelled its funding last year after the emergence of the loans to 3 state-owned companies that were not approved by Parliament or disclosed publicly, sending the Southern African nation's currency into free fall. An independent audit of the debt showed in June that questions remained on how the $2 billion was used, and roughly a quarter of the money remained unaccounted for. Right, my colleague in New York, Jill Maladrini, of course, is ready to tell us more about the U.S. tax bill, Q3 earnings wrap-up, and of course earnings guidance for fourth quarter and full year 2018. Good morning, Jill. Our U.S. equities were under pressure to end the week due to the tax reform jitters. What's the fear about?
Well, despite the major averages hitting new all-time highs on Wednesday, stocks were in the red on Thursday, and even futures are lower this morning too, as details are out with the Senate version of the tax bill, and investors saw high hurdles for reconciliation with the House version. So the timing of reduction in tax rates, whether it's state, local, and other tax deductions, were really among the key sticking points here.
Now that third quarter earnings have largely wrapped up, how would you grade the results?
Well, analysts at CFRA noted that the third quarter earnings season was pretty solid by several measures. One key standout was a fourth quarter in a row for sales growth of mid-single digits. Impressively, 66% of companies reported better than expected sales growth, well above the historic average of about 55%. In fact, in each quarter of 2017, the number of companies exceeding top-line estimates has been between 64 and 69%. That's an indication of the quality of the bottom-line beat, which has been less reliant on financial engineering and more on top-line growth in recent periods. Now, earnings per share growth, that moderated slightly from the first half of the year, but still increased nearly 7%. More than 71% of S&P 500 companies beat consensus estimates in the second quarter, and that's better than the historic average of 67%. There have been only 3 other times in the last 6.5 years that the index reported a higher beat rate.
Now, how does earning guidance look for fourth quarter? The market can only hope for the best, I guess.
Right. Well, encouragingly, guidance for the fourth quarter has been pretty decent, with about 56% of companies guiding the quarter below the consensus estimate. Now, historically, pessimistic average is about 66% of companies guiding lower. Fiscal year 18 growth expectations have started to moderate a bit. They currently stand at about 10.8%. That was versus 11.8% just 6 months ago. Benefits from policy changes on tax reform, infrastructure spending, repatriation, and deregulation have not been baked into consensus estimates as analysts await the finalized version of these policies, again going back to the tax reform. So hopeful policy change has provided support for the market year to date, and that's leading to a really rich valuation in the S&P 500. So disruption to economic growth or lack of policy implementation really remains the key risks in the U.S. market.
So let's keep the hope flying, Jill. Enjoy the rest of the day, and of course enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Right. And back here in Nigeria, an entrepreneur, Ario Afolaran, is taking advantage of the near all-year sun in the northern city of Yola to offer an alternative to poor power supply and also to train youth about sustainable energy. Chronic power shortages have plagued Nigeria for decades and are one of the biggest constraints on investment and growth in a country that holds one of the world's largest gas reserves. Well, while we wait for that report, the federal government has restated its commitment to meet with the demands of the oil-producing communities in the country. The Minister of State for Petroleum, Ibe Kachuku, gave the assurance during a town hall meeting with the theme Stakeholders Engagement and Enlightenment Campaign in Niger Delta State, held in Benin City, the Edo State capital.
Leading players in the oil sector assemble for this town hall meeting in Benin City, the Edo State capital. The Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources has put together this interactive session to proffer solutions to the development-related issues in the oil-producing communities. The representative of host communities in Edo State are the first to take the floor. They underline the enormity of the problems they've been subjected to in the area.
Our inaccessibility of our communities which share border with Delta State As a result of that, a lot of our oil wells are being ceded to the Delta State. In fact, it has seemed that, those parts of our states or our local governments are not ours.
Minister of the Niger Delta, Usani, says engagements of this kind will put a stop to crisis in the Niger Delta region.
It suffices to say, this time around, there has been no insensitivity in respect to what the people are demanding, what they are yearning for, and what the government is willing to do. Instead, it has been the fact that we are moving surely on every aspect that has been placed before us. Those who were not captured, something will happen about such.
Well, let's go back to that report on Nigeria's solar energy.
All his life, 24-year-old entrepreneur Ario Adefolari heard Nigerians complain about the country's epileptic power supply. Last year, he decided to do something about it. He sources and builds solar equipment for sale in his hometown, Yola, the capital of northeastern Adamawa State, where there's a lot of sunshine for the better part of the year. He puts together everything from inverters to the electrical appliances needed to make homes and businesses fully solar dependent. Ario also runs various training programs for young people about solar energy. Starting with a ₦1 million grant secured from the Bank of Industry, he has put up 16 solar panels and trained over 700 people last year.
Definitely solar energy is the future energy. A time is coming where all these fossil fuels we get depleted, the coal, and so since we have abundance of sun, I want to see how the youths can also have knowledge on it, and so that at least they can be able to generate their own power.
Ario has also worked with the National Youth Service Corps and the local government to light up streets. Emmanuel Iyarugbe is a youth service recruit trained at one of Ario's camps. He now helps maintain solar-powered street lights.
After we came out from camp, we have to meet him and tell him about interesting in the training to have more idea and knowledge of it. It's not really about the theory we have, because there was some notion I have about it. But when I came here, I have to correct this type of notion. So it was really a good experience.
Power cuts have made the sound of noisy generators an accustomed soundtrack to daily life in most parts of the country. Ario is targeting schools with his clean energy message. Starting them young, he says, will help Nigerians consider different options, something the government should do more in addressing the power cut woes.
And with that report, we draw the curtain on today's edition of the program and, of course, for the week. Thank you very much for watching and enjoy the rest of the weekend. I'm Chimezie Obi. You're welcome.